Throughout history, there have been warriors so feared that their very names sent chills down the spines of their enemies. These were the elite fighters, the unstoppable warlords, the conquerors who changed the course of history through sheer brutality and skill. Today, we count down the top 10 most feared warriors in history, men and women whose legendary feats still echo through time. At number 10, we have Vlad the Impaler, the 15th century Wallachian prince whose savage methods of war struck terror into the hearts of his enemies. Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad III Dracula, was the ruthless 15th century ruler of Wallachia, infamous for his brutal methods of warfare. Born in 1431, he spent much of his life defending his homeland from the powerful Ottoman Empire. His most feared tactic was impalement, a gruesome form of execution where victims were skewered on wooden stakes, earning him his chilling nickname. In 1462, when the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II invaded Wallachia, he was met with a horrifying sight, a forest of 20,000 impaled corpses lining the battlefield. The psychological impact was so immense that the Sultan withdrew his forces. Vlad's cruelty extended beyond the battlefield, punishing traitors and criminals mercilessly. Though he is seen as a national hero in Romania for resisting Ottoman rule, his bloodthirsty reputation inspired the legend of Dracula, making him one of the most feared warriors in history. Number 9, Spartacus, the gladiator-turned-rebel leader who dared to challenge the mighty Roman Empire. Spartacus was a Thracian warrior and former Roman soldier who became the leader of the most famous slave rebellion in history, the Third Civil War of 73 to 71 BC. Originally forced to fight as a gladiator, he turned against his Roman masters, escaping with a group of fellow fighters and building a massive army of over 70,000 freed slaves and outcasts. A brilliant tactician, Spartacus repeatedly outmaneuvered and defeated multiple Roman legions, causing panic in the empire. His forces ravaged Italy for 2 years, proving that Rome's military dominance was not invincible. However, in 71 BC, he was ultimately crushed by General Crassus, and thousands of his followers were crucified along the Appian Way. Though he perished, Spartacus remains a symbol of resistance and the fight against oppression. His legendary rebellion has inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, cementing his place as one of history's most feared and respected warriors. Coming in at number 8 is Thamyris, the warrior queen of the Musashi. Thamyris was the fierce queen of the Musashi, a nomadic warrior tribe in Central Asia. In 530 BC, she faced the might of the Persian Empire when King Cyrus the Great sought to conquer her people. Refusing to submit, Thamyris led her warriors into battle, using superior tactics to lure the Persian army into a trap. After Cyrus captured her son, Spartacus, and drove him to suicide, Thamyris swore revenge. She launched a brutal counterattack, annihilating the Persian forces and personally killing Cyrus in battle. According to legend, she had his head dipped in a vat of blood, declaring, "You have thirsted for blood, now drink your fill." Her fearless leadership and unwavering vengeance made her one of the most feared female warriors in history. Thamyris remains a powerful symbol of resistance, proving that even the world's greatest empires could fall before the wrath of a determined queen. At number 7, we have Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's greatest swordsman. Miyamoto Musashi was Japan's greatest samurai and an undefeated swordsman who lived from 1584 to 1645. He fought over 60 duels without ever losing, making him one of the most feared warriors in history. Musashi developed the Nitin Ichiryu style, wielding 2 swords simultaneously, which gave him a deadly advantage in combat. His most legendary duel was against Sasaki Kojiro, where he arrived late and used a wooden sword carved from an oar to defeat his rival. Beyond the battlefield, Musashi was also a strategist, philosopher, and artist, writing the Book of Five Rings, a timeless guide on tactics and warfare. Later in life, he retired to a cave, dedicating himself to writing and meditation. His teachings continue to influence martial artists and military strategists worldwide. Musashi's unbreakable will, adaptability, and mastery of the sword cemented his place as one of history's greatest warriors. Number 6 is Khalid ibn al-Walid, also known as the Sword of Allah. Khalid ibn al-Walid, known as the Sword of Allah, was one of history's greatest military strategists and an undefeated general of early Islam. Born in 592 CE in Mecca, he played a key role in several decisive battles, including the Battle of Yarmouk, Battle of Mu'tah, and the conquest of Persia and Syria. His tactical brilliance allowed him to defeat much larger Byzantine and Persian forces using innovative cavalry maneuvers and rapid strikes. Originally opposing Islam, Khalid later converted and became one of Prophet Muhammad's most trusted commanders. He led Muslim armies to over 100 victories, never losing a single battle. His leadership helped expand the Islamic Empire across Arabia, Persia, and the Levant. Despite his military success, he died not on the battlefield, but of illness in 642 CE, lamenting that no sword struck him down. His legacy as an undefeated warrior lives on in military history. At number 5, we have Attila the Hun, the Scourge of God. Attila the Hun, known as the Scourge of God, was one of history's most feared conquerors. As ruler of the Huns from 434 to 453 CE, he led devastating campaigns across Europe, striking terror into the hearts of the Roman Empire. Under his leadership, the Huns became an unstoppable force, pillaging cities and demanding massive tributes from both the Eastern and Western Roman empires. Attila's military genius lay in his ability to command swift, brutal cavalry attacks, overwhelming his enemies with sheer speed and ferocity. His most famous campaigns included the sacking of Roman cities, the invasion of Gaul, 451 CE, and the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, where he was finally halted by a Roman-Visigoth coalition. Despite his fearsome reputation, Attila mysteriously died in 453 CE, allegedly from a nosebleed on his wedding night. His death marked the decline of the Hunnic Empire, but his legacy of terror endures in history. Shaka Zulu, circa 1787 to 1828, was one of Africa's most legendary warriors and military strategists, revolutionizing warfare in the Zulu kingdom. Born to a minor Zulu chief, he rose to power through sheer brilliance and transformed a small tribe into a dominant empire. Shaka introduced the short-stabbing spear, Ikliwa, which replaced throwing spears, making close combat deadlier. He also implemented the buffalo horn formation, a tactic that allowed his warriors to encircle and crush enemies. His rigorous military training turned the Zulu army into an unstoppable force, defeating rival tribes and expanding his kingdom. Beyond warfare, Shaka reformed governance, trade, and diplomacy. However, his rule became increasingly ruthless, and in 1828, he was assassinated by his half-brothers. Despite his brutal methods, Shaka's military innovations shaped African history, and his legacy as the greatest Zulu warrior endures to this day. At number 3, Genghis Khan, the man who built the largest contiguous empire in history. With his disciplined Mongol warriors, he conquered vast lands from China to Europe. Genghis Khan, born Temujin in 1162, was the founder of the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous empire in history. Rising from hardship, he united the Mongol tribes through diplomacy, warfare, and sheer determination. His military genius allowed him to conquer vast territories, from China to the Middle East and Eastern Europe, defeating powerful empires like the Jin, Khwarezmian, and Kievan Rus. Genghis Khan revolutionized warfare with highly disciplined cavalry, superior strategy, and psychological warfare. His armies used speed, deception, and adaptability to crush enemies. Despite his fearsome reputation, he promoted religious tolerance, trade, Silk Road expansion, and legal reforms within his empire. He died in 1227, but his legacy shaped the modern world, influencing trade, communication, and governance. His descendants, like Kublai Khan, continued his conquest, solidifying the Mongols as one of the most formidable forces in history. His impact remains unmatched in military and political history. Number 2 is Leonidas I, the Spartan king who led 300 warriors against the might of the Persian Empire at Thermopylae. Leonidas I, the king of Sparta, is one of history's most legendary warriors, best known for his heroic stand at the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC. A member of the Argead dynasty, Leonidas was trained in the brutal Spartan military system, making him a formidable leader and fighter. When the vast Persian army under King Xerxes I invaded Greece, Leonidas led 300 elite Spartan warriors and a small Greek force to defend the narrow pass of Thermopylae. Against overwhelming odds, they held off the Persian forces for days, using superior tactics and unbreakable discipline. Despite betrayal by a Greek traitor, Leonidas and his men fought to the death, choosing honor over surrender. His sacrifice became a symbol of courage and resistance, inspiring future generations. The legacy of Leonidas and the 300 Spartans lives on as an example of bravery, duty, and unwavering defiance in the face of tyranny. And at number 1, the ultimate warrior, Alexander the Great. Undefeated in battle, he conquered most of the known world before the age of 33. Alexander the Great, born in 356 BC in Macedonia, was one of history's most brilliant military commanders. Tutored by Aristotle, he inherited the throne at 20 years old and swiftly embarked on a campaign to conquer the known world. In just over a decade, he built an empire stretching from Greece to Egypt, Persia, and India, earning a reputation for tactical genius, fearless leadership, and strategic innovation. His greatest victories include the Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC, where he decisively defeated the Persian king Darius III, and the Siege of Tyre, showcasing his adaptability. Alexander was known for leading from the front, inspiring loyalty among his troops. Despite his success, he died mysteriously in 323 BC at 32 years old, leaving his empire divided. His legacy shaped future empires, from Rome to Napoleon, and he remains a symbol of ambition, conquest, and military excellence. And there you have it, the top 10 most feared warriors in history. Their names have stood the test of time, their battles reshaped civilizations, and their legacies live on. Which warrior do you think was the most fearsome? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible historical deep dives.